Welcome back to EconoChat. Let's talk business with Mr. Daniel Steinman and myself, Elsie Twinyani, right here on the Power Station Energy 100. If you want to listen to previous conversations that we've had, you can, of course, go to economist.com.na and find everything there from episode 1, up and until episode 47. Okay, so we are talking climate change. We are talking COP27. We know that, for those who do not know, that COP27 is currently happening in Egypt, in the town called Sharm el-Sheikh, right? So it started on the 6th of November and will, of course, go until the 18th of November. That means it's 2 weeks that, world leaders are sitting together to discuss COP27. That is, of course, climate change, how it affects the world, the way forward, finances, everything that you can think or wrap around climate change. So, Mr. Daniel Steinman, you have mentioned an amount that is very confusing, I assume, to a lot of listeners, and also when we bring it back home to Namibia, and that amount, is it going to work? Is it going to be enough? Will we get the amount to make things work?
Let me say, first of all, that the International Finance Corporation, the IFC, that conducted the study, really know what they're talking about.
Okay.
To give you an idea, the IFC is one of the main funders of the African Development Bank. So you can see, and remember, the IFC is part of the World Bank.
Yeah.
So you can see that we're not talking about Greenpeace Africa or a couple of palookas or somebody who's whining about the seals in Cape Cross. We're talking about the whole world.
Yeah.
And this is what the point I was making is that Africa is not recognized for the size and the contribution that she is.
Yeah.
Because you and I just used the stupid example of how a flat map basically plays around with your eye to give you this false impression. But if you look at that $100 billion over 18 years, immediately you're asking the question, where is all this money going to come from? So I can tell you now that if these are the type of figures that are being discussed at Sharm el-Sheikh, it means that it is not as if this money is not available. It is just how are we going to channel it to the right sources in Africa. And if you look at the context of global warming, is that Africa has about 16% of the world's population, 1 billion of the 8 billion people that we are. We contribute only 2% of the pollution.
Yeah.
So what Africa contributes to making the world warmer is tiny. It's insignificant. And the other thing is, global warming is not something that you can escape. You can't put up a fence. It's not on the other side of your border. It's everywhere. So the fact that the Western world, or the developed world and the emerging economies, that they are creating a combined 98% of the world's pollution tells you it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
If they contribute 98%, it means they have to pay 98%.
Exactly.
And not expect Africa to pay for the pollution in Africa. So do you see where my argument is going?
No, I do, and I totally agree with you.
We are not liable for the damage from global warming because we're not causing it. Our contribution is a poopy 2%. And the West knows this, but they're very reluctant to say, hey, boys, we will foot this bill, we will stand in for the damage. Because the moment we start talking about investment, from that figure, you can see it's substantial. But let me give you this assurance that money is surely available. And I can also tell you in the next 10 years or so, we're going to hear a lot about, but we want to control the funding and we want to have a say in where it goes and who gets what and the allocations and the projects. In my mind, all of this is nonsense. It's playing for time.
Yeah.
Eventually, the rest of the world will have to realize that African solutions for mitigating climate change depend on African structures. And that is the way we will have to fund it.
Okay, and on that note, we will go for a very short break. So on our return, we will continue this discussion.